Welcome to another match preview where we look ahead to our latest league away day. It's the 4th of 5 Tuesdays on the bounce, and it's another long trip along the Roman roads, and they all lead to Bath. Well, before we start on Bath, some unfortunate news on the player front with the departure of loanee John Benton. He's going back to Solihull Moors so he can then go on to Boreham Wood. It's going to be a tough act to follow, Joe. Your thoughts on his time with us?
Yeah, well, obviously since Benton's come in at the start of the season, he's performed pretty well overall. I think everybody would agree with that. In recent weeks, he's definitely been one of our more creative outlets and often leads the team from that midfield position he quite frequently plays in. So, yeah, very big loss for the team and potentially very big shoes to fill as well.
Yeah, big shoes for a little guy. John, go well, sir, and I'm sure we'll probably see you here later in the season at this rate. Good luck. So in goal, Harvey Wiles-Richards is Bath-born and he re-signed after leaving Bristol City in the summer. He made his debut for the first team in an FA Trophy tie at Horsham in November 2018. Sounds like a familiar opponent and competition to me. He's also the cousin of City's right-back Joe Rains, and Massimo Sardo is never present on the bench this season. He's the youngest in the squad at just 16 years of age. So Joe, a mix of youth and experience and family, and both Bath and born and bred.
Yeah, it's all very tight-knit and compact, isn't it? So obviously that can be potentially quite a lot of things. It can be a very strong bond within a squad. It can be a good set of role models for the younger players in a squad as well, when you've got the older, more established players in a side too. So yeah, of course, for Bath, that's going to potentially be something that could prove to be quite cohesive. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
So in defence, Joe Rains joined City in July 2018. He's made over 200 appearances for the club. Danny Greenslade signed from Chippenham Town in June 2022. He's in his second spell with the club and he was named last season's Players Player of the season. Nick Grimes joined in the summer from Taunton Town, having also played for the cities of Exeter and Truro. Jack Batten came through the youth ranks with Bristol City, having joined the club's academy at the under-13 stage. And he's now the club's longest-serving player with well over 250 appearances for the Romans. He was also named Player of the Season for the 22-23 season. Joe James signed on loan last month from Bristol City, and Kieran Parcell is the club captain. He joined in June 22 from Chippenham Town. He was selected for the 21-22 National League South Team of the Year whilst at Chippenham. This season, his goals have helped win 7 of Bath's 15 points. So Joe, shows the problems that Bath are having, being at the wrong end of the table, and if you've got a defender securing 50% of their points, you've got some issues there.
Yeah, certainly a tough one. And again, you know, it's a potential parallel you could draw between Maidstone and Bath. You know, we've had Temi Aweka become what I believe our second highest goal scorer this season, behind Aaron Blair. So, you know, unless we end up scoring quite a few goals at the weekend, obviously looking ahead and back at the same time, you'll see, you know, relying on those defensive positions to get goals is obviously not going to kind of claw you up the table, is it? So, yeah, Bath obviously find themselves in quite a difficult spot, but they've got very experienced and very familiar players in their back line as well, and they're bringing in loan players from quite established clubs, like you said, with Bristol as well. So, again, a potential area of weakness, but also a potential strength of theirs if they can compact and stay together.
Exactly. So their midfield consists of lateral Humphrey Ewers. He joined from Oxford City in the summer. He helped his former side secure promotion to the National League back in 2023. Elliot Freer signed in July 21. He has played in 2 cup finals for Motherwell. Yeah, she's fine, thank you. And now has over 100 appearances for the Romans. You like that one? Zach Smith returned to Twerton Park in July 24, having previously spent the second half of the COVID-disrupted 2019-20 season on loan with the Romans. Louis Sweeton joined the Bath City Academy in October last year, having previously been part of the Bristol City youth setup. Jordan Tilson is another Bath-born player in this squad. He's the son of former Bristol Rovers player Andy, and there isn't a South West club he hasn't played for, well, probably a couple. And he moved back home after a few years north of the border. Luke Russ joined last summer from local National League South rivals Chippenham Town. Despite missing the last 2 months of last season with a knee injury, he was actually named the Romans 23-24 Player of the Season. And Jerry Lawrence is on a 1-month loan from Bristol Rovers, having previously been loaned to Salisbury, Tiverton Town and Yate Town. So Joe, plenty more local talent, and it's finding its way back to Twerton Park, isn't it?
Yeah, and as you say, some of the more established players are in those midfield positions. We know from when we've played them in the past that their midfield can be quite dominant and quite strong. And obviously, if they've managed to maintain a few of those players from seasons past, like they have done, then we may see some familiar faces come and do the same thing again. So obviously, with that loss of John Benton that you've mentioned, we do need to make sure that with that midfield change for Maidstone, we need to be staying on top of that area of the pitch as well.
It's going to be a very competitive area come Tuesday. So up front, Solwan Joe Smith is the latest entrant for Exstone against the Stones. He had 2 years with us, produced many goals in his time, including scoring that hat-trick in the second qualifying round at Stenning. Scott Wilson is now in his second spell with City, having returned to the club in July 2022, and now has over 100 appearances for the Romans. Ewan Clark signed permanently from Bristol City in January 2024, having initially joined on loan in the previous July. He had time on loan at Yeovil Town last season. Alex Fisher, he joined in the summer following his release from the aforementioned Yeovil Town at the end of last season. Bags of experience and a career fast approaching a third decade now. And Jordan Alves signed from Westfield FC. The aforementioned, if you've seen other previews, that it's the shopping centre joke, so I won't do that one again. Because have you got a receipt? Doesn't matter. Refund, don't worry. Westfield FC in the summer, that's where he come from. He scored 15 goals in 37 appearances last season. And Josh Phillips is a 19-year-old winger signed on loan recently from Luton Town. And Mika Anthony is another recent loan signing, this time from Bristol Rovers. So, Joe, some familiar faces for the Stones, as well as an injection of young recent blood there.
Yeah, well, obviously a very good plethora of attacking talent there for Bath City. Alex Fisher is someone who I really like the look of. In the past, he's been very dangerous. He might not always be the best in terms of numbers, but on the field, he's definitely a handful, someone who makes himself very difficult to deal with. So we do need to be careful there. Solwan Joe Smith, we know what he's all about. Obviously, with his speed and his ability to get in behind a team and pick up those penalties and free kicks. You know,
it's all about the GCs.
It's somewhere you've got to be very, very careful and obviously make sure you're keeping things compact and keeping him away from the penalty area, which is a troubling task, especially with some of his form of points this season. And Alves, of course, seems like a very promising signing, despite his shopping centre experience. He has obviously picked up a lot of goal contributions in the past. So again, another player we do need to keep an eye on and just make sure that we're keeping things very compact at the back, despite their recent form.
You're picking up on my puns. You can come back, you can. So Bath have lost their last 4 in a row in the league and find themselves just above the dotted line. Ideal opponents for the Stones, Joe, but they know that Bath will want to turn that loose and run around quite quick.
Yeah, well, Bath obviously know that they could potentially begin a run if they were to pick up a positive result against Maidstone here. So we do need to be careful of that. They may be quite motivated to not get 5 games on the bounce, because once you hit 5, that's quite a significant number, and 5 becomes 10, and you never know, it may spiral on from there. So they will be after a positive result, so we do need to make sure we're keeping on top of that. But to be honest, looking at their league form of late and their position in the table, I think Maidstone will be quite happy with this opponent and will be able to take advantage of them in this fixture.
Very good. So Bath took 4 points from 6 against the Stones last season. The Stones' title-winning season, a couple of years prior, saw them complete the double over the Romans, just like they did in their previous promotion campaign from South in 2015-16 season. So the records show that a double over Bath apparently guarantees promotion for the Black and Amber Army. So it's there in black and white, as City themselves might say, Joe.
Yeah, well, obviously, looking back to last season, it was quite tough when we went there, wasn't it? Very, very difficult performance, I think, near the very start of the season.
It was, yeah,
and very tough game. But obviously, as you said, you know, they're not doing too well this season. It may be an opportunity for us to get that foot in the door quite early on with that away fixture and take advantage of that. Try and get ahead of time, and for the return fixture, potentially do a double, go on, win the league next year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That's the idea. That's what we're here for. That's what we're hoping for, people.
Positivity.
Exactly. So if you can't make it on Tuesday night, I will be there with Darren Stiles for Stones Live from 7:30. You'll see us on the hot take and then hear us on the highlights once they go online. So another long trip to look forward to midweek for the Stones, but then again the unbeaten away record is still there to be maintained and give confidence to the squad and fans alike. So here's hoping for another positive result come Tuesday night. Thanks as always for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the Salisbury away league game. Yeah, another away game, I know. And as always,
Come on,
you
you
Stones.
Stones.